math schedule, when we don't finish lessons, please don't freak out about that. Like, we will take the time that we need to go back and like do questions that we need to. So you guys are this front table right by my desk. So if you're wanting to be on the correct side of the table, you're over here and Emily's right here. Does that make sense? So Raiden, you're here, Emily's right there.
Are we still going to
First name, last name, please. So we're continuing 1, 2, 4 today. Okay, like we didn't get it done yesterday, we're continuing it today. So you need 1, 2, 4 out because we're going to talk about it. Okay, guys, I think we can write our names on a piece of paper without like a whole lot of confusion. And 1, 2, 5, we're probably going to start a little bit, but I definitely do not think we're going to get through it. Okay, because we've been on math schedules, they kind of suck. So before we go to check and answers, let's just go ahead and talk about tomorrow. Everybody take a moment to put your eyes up on the board and read what it says. Ooh, I forgot a slight tweak in my plan. So let me copy paste this over. Here's my slight tweak.
What's the price?
Candy.
Oh. How much?
A piece.
What kind?
Dum-Dums and Smarties. Well, you guys are really ungrateful to ask a whole lot of questions when offered something for free. So, your options are work on stuff for my class, like missing homework, this week's homework, or if you really want, you can grab future homework from back there. Just please make sure you're grabbing from the Math 7 shelves, not the 7-8, because that's work you'll do next year. So like the shelves that you can see have more paper on them, those are the future work, right? Like you can see them there kind of in the middle of that second column. You could work on finishing/revising the mini mastery from last week that I'm going to give you back today before the end of class. I've given you feedback on the front of it. We're going to talk about the back of it to try to nudge you the right direction because a lot of us made the same mistake. All because I haven't written on something doesn't mean I haven't looked at it. Just by the way, same thing for other teachers. Get on Khan Academy and do some extra practice, which, by the way, we have not checked this in a while, so we probably should. We haven't checked this like at all since we started, honestly. Sorry, I want to make sure we don't put any students' names in front of the screen. So let's go ahead and start checking homework while I get this pulled up. When converting fractions into percents, we need to make the denominator what? 100, because that's what percent means. If we're taking a percent and converting back to a fraction, we know that percent value goes over 100. Any questions about 90?
I can't figure out the 21 and...
Like part C or part D? So part D is 21 over 40. Thank you for asking. Appreciate the question. Guys, even like whether you've done this or not, you should be paying attention right now because this has a pretty high probability of ending up on your mastery. 40 does not nicely, notice I said nicely, 40 does not nicely go into 100. Because what we're looking for is what do I multiply by to get it there. If we don't know what to multiply by, this is going to matter in about 5 minutes when we do this again. If we don't know what to multiply by, how can we figure it out?
Do 100 divided by 4.
Thank you, Donna. We do the division. If we're trying to find the multiplier, we do the division. And this comes out to be 2.5 when I grab a calculator and do it because we're using calculators these days. So this tells us multiply by 2.5. And since that is what we did on bottom, it is also what we have to do on top, making our percentage 52.5. Questions?
I still don't really understand B.
So hold on. Questions about D before we move on?
No. Thanks.
There's a question about B. So B starts with giving us the percent. And we said percent stands for what?
100.
For every 100 or out of 100.
Yeah.
Cent is the part that stands for 100. But we can't ignore the per, right? So 45%, we would start by saying 45%, and that is how we write it as a fraction to start. Any questions on how we get to the starting fraction?
Wait, so why can't that just be our fraction?
It can be. That could just be your answer. You could stop right there and it's fine.
Oh, okay.
However, if you would like to reduce, does it say we have to? No.
Oh.
It doesn't say we have to. If we would like to reduce, we say what are 145 both divisible by, and kind of in your gut, hopefully, if it ends in 5 and ends in 0, what can we divide by? 5. So we could divide by 5 on top and bottom if you want, and get 9 over 20. And I think that's about as reduced as it gets. I did not mean to write all of that in red because it looks aggressive. But that's how we get to 9/20.
No, it doesn't.
If you need more help, please come work with me at like AR extensions, but doing 2 of those, I feel like we should probably move on for sake of time. Probability starts with finding the total. The denominator of probability is the total. This is what you got wrong on the quiz. A lot of you, when we go back and look at it, oh man, something stuck in my throat this morning. Need some coffee or something. The total goes in the denominator. So we first figure out the total. Man, I'm seeing that word a lot. Any questions on our probability of getting a nickel? Then our total changes. Emery?
So I added up all the numbers, and I got 4/16, which I already knew was equal to 25%.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know how to go with the decimal.
Thank you for asking that. So guys, our decimal numbers, because we haven't really talked about this, and this is why we do practice, to push us into these conversations. What is your first decimal place called? The tens place, I shouldn't write it like that because it's not the tens place, it's the tenths place. If your fraction had a 10 on bottom, the number on top goes there.
No.
Does our fraction have a 10 on bottom?
No, but it has 100.
Yeah, it has 100. What's the second decimal place called? Hundredths. So since we know this is our hundredths place, and like the number over 100 goes in those places so that it ends in that spot. So if it's 25%, it is 25 hundredths. However, stick with me here. Let's say it was like 8%. What fraction would 8% turn into? Sam?
0.8.
Hold on, what fraction?
8% would equal
8 over 100. You might want to write this down, like, because this is practice we haven't done a ton of. You can put it wherever, but that whole graph paper that I said would be convenient. This could go on your graph paper. That could be general math notes. This is red. Actually, I'll wait a couple seconds because people are moving and grabbing. How do we read that fraction correctly? And it's not 8 over 100 because that's not really, it's not really the appropriate way. Donna? 8 hundredths. To make it the decimal 8 hundredths, don't write this. It's wrong. Don't write this. If I put the 8 there, how do I read that? 8 tenths. Do I want 8 tenths? No. So if I put the 8 in the second decimal place, what do I have to put here? A 0. Now how does this read? 8 hundredths, like I want. So down here, 25 hundredths. It's 25%. But if it's a single digit, if it's a very low percent, like 8%, it's going to be 0.08. We're going to do more practice, right? These don't have to be right, but it's practice so we can get familiar with it. Now, is this 0? Ghosts. Is this 0 absolutely necessary? No. However, I like putting it there to remember, oh yeah, that was 20%. You could just write 0.2, and it means the same thing. Because putting this 0 on doesn't change anything. But guys, this 0, that's really important. You have to have that. But the 0 after doesn't change anything. Any other questions about that problem? About the coins?
No.
Total goes on bottom. Mean, I don't know why, but how we remember this when I was younger is the average teacher is mean. And I hope you don't think that at Phoenix. But mean is also known as average, right? Averaging a set of numbers, add them all up to get the sum, divide by how many we have. Questions? Moving on. The whole world is pizza. It's just all pizza all the way down. If 5 slices cost $5.50, I could divide by 5 to both the pizza and the money to figure out that 1 slice would be $1.10, 2 slices $2.20, 10 slices $11, half a like we could do whatever we want. We could figure out 1,000,000 slices if we really felt like it. Questions on this? We do the same on top and bottom.
Is it possible to get half a slice at a pizza shop?
I mean, if you ask me, say pretty please, maybe. I mean, we used to, like, at Jimmy John's, I'd sell the day-old bread or different stuff. We used to work at Jimmy John's.
But you're a teacher.
That was before I was a teacher, like when I was in college.
Oh. Why do you work at Jimmy John's?
I had a bright red Honda Civic, and I was delivering sandwiches freaky fast. I'm not joking. Guys, if I'm lying to you, I will tell you I'm lying to you. I've worked at Sears. I've worked at Macy's. Macy's was probably the most money I ever made, like not actually working like a real, like, you know, this is like a real job, like my career that I went to school for. You don't go to school to work at Macy's. But when I worked at Macy's, I sold jewelry because I was the only person to show up to the interview wearing a tie. It was a big old group interview, no joke. So like this many people, probably. So group interview, you all show up and they pull you and they ask you different questions and whatever. Most of the people there were women because, you know, it's Macy's. They're looking to sell clothes, whatever. There were some other guys. I'm the only guy wearing a tie. So they pull me off to the side like, have you ever sold jewelry? And I like think for a sec, because never say no too quickly, right? Like always try to think, can I say yes? And I realized, oh, I worked at that shop in like uptown Westerville. Westerville's on like that side of 270. And we sold jewelry there. We also sold a whole lot of other stuff. But I was like, yes, I have sold jewelry before. And I knew how to size watches and stuff, so I worked at Macy's. I actually Scouts Honor sold jewelry at Macy's. When I started substitute teaching, I made less money teaching than I was making at Macy's.
Wow.
Not making this up. Because at Macy's, I made commission, which is a percentage of what I sold. Guys, I'm not joking. Let's do a quick math problem just for fun.
Okay.
If Mr. Hudson made 9% commission at Macy's, and you can write this down if you want, this might end up on a test someday, who knows? Would Mr. Hudson write a math problem about himself?
Yeah.
I think he did on the last quiz. So 9%, what would that be as a fraction? Just shout it out. We're just
9 out of 100.
9 out of 100. So then as a decimal, it would be written 0.09. So that means whatever you sell, you get to do this calculation, and that's how much extra money you take home. So let's say Valentine's Day is coming up. True story. Dude walks up to buy his wife a necklace. And I'm like, bro, when's her birthday? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, here's the play. Necklace, bracelet, earrings. Get the whole set. And then give her like 1 or 2 now. 1 or 2 for her birthday. And like next time you get in trouble, right, just pull out some jewelry. Right? So he was like, yes, necklace, bracelet, earrings, boom. I compliment the guy's watch. So he's like, oh, you know watches? You guys got watches? I'm like, yeah, we got watches. Come right over here, man. Dude buys matching watches for himself and his wife. I'm not making this story up. I can't quite remember how much he spent, but let's say it was $4,000.
Him and his wife must be doing really
Guys,
good for
it
himself.
was the fine jewelry desk. It wasn't the cheap stuff. It was the nice stuff. I had to count it every single night and make sure nothing had disappeared. So to do this calculation, you take 9% that decimal number times the amount that I just sold that lovely gentleman. Somebody do this calculation for me. Please and thank you.
Wait, was it more than 4,000?
I think it was pretty close to that.
How would you do that with a decimal?
Type in the decimal in your
260.
calculator.
Oh,
I just want someone to check my work, but I think
it's
that's what it is.
360.
How can you do it without a calculator?
Because if you do 1%, so glad you asked. Here's the 1% trick. To find 1% of a number, all we have to do is bump the decimal over 2 places. So this lets us find 1%. You could be writing this down. It's a great strategy. It can also let you impress your parents when you go shopping with them. So here, 1% is how much money? $40. So if 1% is $40, what do I need to do to get to 9%, Sophie? Yeah, we just take this times 9 now.
Oh, because you did one, like...
Because if this is 1%, I can multiply by 9, and I would line this up if I was actually doing my long multiplication. My 9 should move over, really. But yeah, that's how you can do it mentally. If you find 1%, you can go from there.
Well, then why did you do two things? Oh, wait, because this is one...
This would take us to 10%. This takes us to 1%. It was 9 over 100 or 0.09, so then we'll take that times the money, right? That times the money that you sell. That is how commission works.
Wow.
You're looking at what to do as a job with commission versus without. That's why I went from Sears to Macy's. Macy's sold more expensive stuff. All right, was that the end of homework?
That must have been. I think so.
That was good homework. Sweet.
No.
Any other questions from the homework?
No, we didn't do 194.
Wait.
Yeah, we didn't look at that.
Oh, yeah, we didn't actually talk about this because I slid down past it. All right, so 194. Thank you for the reminder, Emery. To add fractions. As especially if you haven't done this yet, you should look up here to check on how we do this because I have a lot of good work shown. To add fractions, we need a common denominator. That's what this is supposed to say. So if you struggled on this problem, you should probably write need common denominator. Need common denominator. Emery.
So you did 24 for your common denominator. I did 16 for A.
You can't. I'll show you why.
Why?
I mean, you could, but I think you probably got a little messy on the work if you actually use 16.
No, I.
So to find a common denominator, we want to look at the list of multiples. So what are the multiples that 6 can multiply up to? Well, 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4, 6 times 5. And we just write down a few. Then I go with the other denominator. I mean, it doesn't matter which one you do first. 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3. I don't need to go past that because I found the same thing in both of them. So now we go over and say, okay, the 6 needs to be times 4. So we make the 6 times 4. And because we do it on bottom, we also
Do it on top.
do it on the top. The 8, how do we get to that 24? This was times 3. So we go to times 3 times 3. That's how we get to the new fractions that we can now actually do the subtraction with. Once you have your common denominators, we keep the denominator. So guys, imagine we got a big pizza, like extra large. It had 24 slices. Emery shows up. So I'm going to pick on Emery because she was asking about the question. Emery shows up. She goes, hey, can I have some pizza? I'm like, yeah, Emery, here. And Emery takes 4 slices. 4 of the 24. How many slices do I have left now? 5 of still an original 24 to make the whole pizza. That's why the denominator stays the same.
Okay, I
We
understand.
do the subtraction on the top, and the denominator stays the same.
I don't
Because the
understand.
amount of slices in the pizza, if it was whole, that didn't change. All because Emery took some pizza from me doesn't change how many slices I would need to make the whole pizza.
I'm glad
Brayden?
we moved this.
Yeah.
I did not understand what I did wrong.
B is already for you. It is common denominators. It's good. Just do the addition across the top. Now, what else could I do to 7/5 though? Ooh, both? Yeah, reduce/simplify, right? Because this is what type of fraction? I hate this name because it sounds bad, but honestly, I love these fractions. Starts with an I. Anybody? Intelligent. It's
Intellectual.
improper because the number on top is bigger. So to simplify this, now you don't have to, but how many 5s could we pull out of 7?
1.
1, and then what do we have left?
2.
So we could go ahead and make that 1 and 2/5. In C, we do the same thing. Look at our list of multiples, find a common, do the multiplications to get to those denominators, and then do the math. Questions?
I have a question on
Yeah.
192. So like, I don't know how to like find the meaning of like no calculation.
What do you mean, no calculation? I don't know, neither do I.
Because like, I know how to do it with like, so I did like something else. For,
Are you getting stuck on the fact that this word is used, or what?
No, because it says calculate like.
So calculate means do the math. Whether you do it mentally, whether you use a calculator, whether you grab a computer and use like the calculator app on the computer. So we're gonna add these up.
I got like so like.
So on, stick with me. So I want to see. We add these up. That's step 1 to find the sum that's gonna go on top. Are you with me for finding the sum? We add up the set of numbers. That's how we got the 32. Then we divide by how many, that's what QTY means, is quantity, how many numbers we have. There you go. Any other questions about the homework before we move back into the lesson? Keep 1, 2, 4 out because we need to finish a problem that is on 1, 2, 4. It is problem 80. So we started 86 yesterday. I think we kind of finished it. Oh no, we do need to finish it because the 3/10 at the bottom. And did we do the 7? We did the 7/20.
We did?
At least some of us did. So we had DeMar. So you guys flip back to the front, right? Flip back to the front of 1, 2, 4. So we're gonna try to wrap this up. And I know, doesn't it feel good to like not feel so rushed today? Who hated the math schedule? It's okay. Hate's a strong word, but I hated it. We are in here until 54. We still have over 10 minutes left, and that feels really good. I don't know if you guys have been stressed out over the quicker schedule. I have definitely been stressed out, so I'm sorry. I didn't like that schedule. I didn't vote for that schedule. So yesterday, I know it was a crazy day and we didn't have much time. We should have written this down on our paper that we had 7/20. If this is not on your paper when you turn in your homework, I'm going to be deeply concerned. And then we talked about turning it into a percent by getting it to get a 100 on the bottom. So if you did not get any of this written down, go ahead and get it written down. And then with your partner, go ahead and convert that 3/10. It's the next thing on your paper. Go ahead and convert that 3/10 to a percent. Some of us, I think, maybe already did. It's right there.
Wait, I didn't do the second one.
I mean, it's just explained. Which you don't have to like write anything as long as you have it up here. You don't have to write it out, but if you wanted to write it out,
Can I
you
not
could.
write it out?
Yeah, I literally just said you don't have to write it out.
Okay.
Where'd the seating chart get to? I'm doing really bad at this.
Emory has it, I think.
Yeah, we have it.
Emory.
Sorry.
I'm just joking.
I told Raiden
Alright,
to write his last name.
You
and
guys
he did
are
that.
behind Emory. So Sophia, you're here, and then Devin, you're right on the edge of the paper at that desk. Cool. So you guys put first name, last name, please. 3/10. We then want to turn it into a percent. Lon, you got you. Oh, that's totally fine. Remember, I'm not grading the whole like examples from class. We just want some stuff there so we can look back at it. Any volunteers for 3/10 so I can get out the cards? Except I don't have all of them. I just realized. Sammy, you trying to volunteer for 3/10? To make it into a percent. 0.3 into a percent.
3/10 would be 30%.
How'd you do it? What math would we do?
Because 3/10, the tenths is just like the first place of 100.
Yeah.
It would work the same.
If you don't have this on your paper yet, our 3/10 we could multiply by 10, and get to 30%. Questions? So then move on down to 88, where we want to see who has the highest percent for that game. Here's 88. Who has the highest percentage? Did you figure out where you were on the seating chart? Good. You guys figured it out. It's actually switched. That's good. Kamal started for us. Awesome. Alright. So, Sophie, you are here. We're going to put the table this way. So you're right here, actually. Yeah, because against the wall would be you want to write out some work to try to figure this out? Just sit there like a bump on a wall.
I'm literally thinking about it.
Okay. What are you thinking normally? Like we write things.
Well, I'm like doing the thing in my head and like reading all of it. I can read it.
But you guys are actually reading the problem set up. I get it. Oh, you're confused, see? We're over here. We're doing 88 together in practice. Trying to make sure I have all the cards so then I can use cards.
So do you have to do the whole thing into a fraction?
We need to be able to compare the percents, is what we need to be able to do. So if it's already a percent, I don't know that we need to do anything to it.
44%.
If Matt is here tomorrow, can we help tell them that they're sitting back here? And if Lane is here tomorrow, can you guys tell Lane to sit up at the front desk? These are your seats for tomorrow to make life easy. Bad word. Except I'm not talking about math, I'm talking about seating chart. So, this is your seat tomorrow. And we still need Jack and Ashley to put their names back here.
Are we still gonna do
So
cards?
Jack, you are right here, and Ashley, you are right alongside of me. Jack, you are here.
Not tomorrow, but like.
Who what? We're gonna talk about that again before you guys leave. Don't worry. We're gonna talk about tomorrow so you know everything that's going on. Yes, Emery.
Wait.
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 I am waiting.
Okay. How do you make autumns like the rest of everyone?
That's what we're gonna do right now. Come on, can you help me with Maria's? What do you think, man? Just 25? Ah, if we do it to one, we got to do it to the other. So if we set up 12 over 25, and if you haven't done this yet on your paper, please do so now. We want to get to 100 on bottom. So Kamal said we do what? Times by 4. And since we do that on bottom, we do it on top. And what do we get? 12 times 4?
48.
48. So Maria's got 48% heads. What if we were just flipping a regular coin, what percent would we expect? 50-50, right? You'd expect 50% heads, 50% tails. Does that mean it's gonna happen? No. It's just what we expect. Autumn, ooh, hey look, that 40 came back to play.
Not the 40.
18 over 40. I'll even take a volunteer here if anyone remembers what we multiplied by last time to do the 40. Anybody Arfon? 2.5. So we do so on top as well. I'm going to need a calculator. I don't know about you guys. Well, I guess no. Okay, 18 times 2 would be 36, plus half of 18 is 9. What's 36 plus 9?
45.
So that's 45%. And then what do we need to do with Kumar's? Do we need to do anything to it to compare? No, we guys, we've got percent, and they already gave us percent, right? Percent. So now if we're going to compare, Who's doing the best here?
Maria.
Maria. Apparently, because flipping a coin has this much. No, guys, that's not a big difference. 4%. 4% is pretty small. Questions on this? Aside from I forgot to write my 100 down here.
And Kumar already had his thing figured out.
Kumar already had. Maybe he flipped it 100 times and he just knew 44 of them.
That was
On
pretty boring.
one. Should we? The amount of time left. Practice these with your partner real quick while I pass things out. Convert those into percentages. Convert those into percentages.
Where is this?
Yeah, this is why I said graph paper would be convenient. Convert those into percentages. Oh, I locked the test. It is not on your paper. We're doing it on graph paper, as we already discussed. It's all good if you missed it. But yeah, if it's not on your paper, it's done on graph paper. Your mini mastery is not done being graded. Do not lose this. Keep it out for a minute. We're going to talk about it.
No, we don't. Do we?
I know how to read a clock. Don't worry, guys. At least most days I know how to read a clock.
Keyword mode.
Here's my calculator. Probably my other number.
Turn to your neighbor and check if they got the same thing as you. As long as you guys got the same thing, no need to talk too much. But if you got something different, you might want to discuss it.
Was only one side graded?
Yes, only one side has been graded so far, because I want to try to help you guys. Trying to figure out how to say what I want to say without saying too much.
Hello. Read the back. I'm gonna work on it later.
It's like my formula. What?
We'll go class answers on these, which just means we all just shout it out, which makes it nice and safe. If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. A, 13 over 20 turns into what percent?
65.
65%, because we multiplied by 5 on top and bottom. B turns into what percent?
70.
70%, because we multiplied by 10 on top and bottom. C turns into what percent? 48. We just did this in class today. And D, turns into what percent? Just straight up 30? D's the hard one. What do we need to get to on bottom?
100.
What do we need to multiply by? I'm not sure. What do we do if we don't know what to multiply by?
2.5.
Do the division. Guys, if you haven't done this yet, now's a great time to practice some calculator work. So do the division, 100 divided by 30. 3.33333. So keep that in your calculator and hit times 9. And you get, if you kept all those 3's, you get exactly what Eli told us. It's 30. Because this was times, Matt, I see you. Thank you for being here. That will also be your seat tomorrow. Times 3.333. Now, if you did not keep all the 3's in your calculator, you might have gotten 29 point something. That's round, like, that's not quite accurate. Eli? How did you do it? Eli went backwards first. Say again, but louder. he divided by 3, got 3 over 10. Another way to do it. Hold on a second. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me.
You're the teacher.
On your mini mastery, the front of it has been graded. The back of it has not. Which means I have not graded it in total. I wasn't quite sure what you had written, but I was like wondering, is that what you meant? Or what? Like, come see me at some point if you want. So on the back, I want to give you guys the chance, like tomorrow, to not only like finish it if you need to finish, but correct it if you need to. So guys, the back, hey, I need people to look like they're listening. You can change what's on the back, like erase whatever, or you could cross it out, you could put a post-it on it. If you want to change anything, that's fine. On the front, if you need to do revisions, we do revisions on a separate piece of paper, because I've already written on this with a pen. Right? I've already marked it up. So if you're revising, get a separate piece of paper. But what I want you to be aware of back here is I have 5 green cubes, and there are 20 other colors, not green. 20 other cubes, and we need to make sure that with probability, we put the total on the bottom. Right, when we set up probability, we put the total on the bottom. So I would double check your work because I would rather you change it and turn it incorrect than me have to mark it wrong and then you revise it. All right, we're like a minute over, so I apologize about that. But have a wonderful day.
Wait.
Tommy, get out of here.
I need to drop this off.
Fine.
Was the total?
Gonna say you don't just push your way in while the class is still coming out, but well, the who what?
Is the total?
We're not shouting out.